Breaking news, Diddy has been denied bail. He's going to jail.
Combs is accused in court filings of frequently hitting, kicking, throwing objects at, and occasionally dragging victims by their hair. Stole something, held someone hostage, and used a Molotov cocktail to start a fire in someone's automobile.
If you don't know this too, just days before Diddy got arrested, Jay-Z was on the phone with him, and sources say he's been acting shady ever since. Rumors are swirling about what they talked about on that call, and it's got people thinking there's way more to this story.
Jay-Z ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
Diddy and Jay-Z have a long history together, and now that justice is finally being served, it appears that Diddy isn't the kind to back down. His closest friends, who have been oddly silent since the controversy began, are among those who will go down with him. It's been a while since Diddy's deeds and true nature were made public, but at least at Lay, they are aware that something significant has been going on with the Diddy situation. What's been going on behind the scenes, though, is only now becoming clear.
New York, a judge has ruled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs must remain in jail as he awaits trial on a wide range of charges involving the alleged serial abuse of women. He denies all the charges. Jerika Duncan is outside the courthouse. Jerika, good morning.
Good morning to you, Nate. You know, when you think of Sean Diddy Combs, this is someone who has had an undeniable influence in hip-hop culture that goes beyond music. But it is that influence that prosecutors say allowed him to get away with crimes for decades.
Happily, in contrast to previous times, the Lord did not let us down this time. Federal investigators have uncovered a significant amount of evidence at P. Diddy's properties, leading to his indictment on several federal counts, such as transportation for prostitution, forceful fraud, and racketeering sex trafficking.
Leaving a Manhattan courthouse Tuesday, lawyers for media mogul Sean Diddy Combs insisted he is innocent.
He didn't do these things. There's no coercion. There's no crime.
And promised to post bail in order to release the 54-year-old from prison. Appealing.
What was the first thing that he said to you after he realized that he was going back to jail tonight?
I'll see you tomorrow.
But according to U.S. authorities, the former hip-hop artist is a serial abuser who ran a criminal enterprise out of his business empire. He organized parties known as freak-offs, where he intimidated, threatened, and forced women into sexual actions.
Freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
Following a thorough examination, a large collection of goods was discovered, including over 1,000 bottles of personal lubricant, electronic documents, and firearms and ammunition. Having entered a not guilty plea, Diddy, who was arrested in New York, is being held in March. Authorities allegedly used firearms, including 3 AR-15s, and drug recordings of sex acts to threaten victims and witnesses. According to prosecutors at Brooklyn's infamous Metropolitan Detention Center, Homeland Security raided properties in Miami and Los Angeles. In one case, according to authorities, Combs got in touch with a former bandit of purported victim Don Richard only this month. That former bandmate denied knowing of any abusive behavior from Combs in a public statement after being harassed more than 50 times in 4 days.
The clear implication there is that there's witness tampering, that he was trying to talk her into making some negative comments about Don publicly.
Richard is being represented by Lisa Bloom, an attorney. Last week, in a civil dispute against Combs,
appreciate the power of the U.S. government going after Sean Combs and prosecuting him for what's only been whispered about for decades.
Federal prosecutors say they've interviewed more than 50 witnesses and potential victims. They expect that number to grow. If Combs is convicted on these crimes, he faces 15 years to life in prison. Very, very.
Shaq P. Diddy, a music mogul and significant role in the industry, was arrested. The entertainment industry surprised the media.
Were you surprised at how extensive and disturbing the charges were, or did it feel par for the course given everything else that he's been accused of?
Let me just say this: his attorney said he would plead not guilty.
Right.
To everything. And RICO cases or racketeering cases are not that common, but racketeering convictions are very common in the federal government. Federal prosecutors generally don't lose these kinds of cases. And this was more disturbing to me. It's only 14 pages, but within the 14 pages, it describes mob-like behavior. These cases are generally brought against mobs. So they are describing a criminal enterprise that involved trafficking of underage people across state lines to have sex, and they dubbed them freak off.
Homeland Security took him into custody at the Park Hyatt in New York after a grand jury indicted him on accusations that, according to his legal team, presented a disturbing picture of his purported actions. For the past week, Diddy had been in the city, maybe waiting for the expenses following the denial of bail by a second judge supervising Diddy's federal criminal case. The rapper entered a not guilty plea in federal court on Tuesday when the indictment was made public. Return of bond.
The fight continues. We're not giving up.
Outside New York City in court, his attorney is defiant.
Believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent, and we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to.
The judge, siding with prosecutors who deemed Combs a threat to society and noting that there is no guarantee the rapper won't strike, decided that the bond amount submitted by Combs' attorney was insufficient. Justice was one of the main topics of conversation leading up to the decision in this contentious 2016 video, which showed the rapper severely abusing his ex-girlfriend singer Cassie while she was trying to flee one of his alleged freak-offs. Earlier this year, the federal investigators' search warrants for 2 of Diddy's homes marked the beginning of the investigation into Diddy's activities. Experts predicted this year that Diddy would be arrested not if but when search warrants were executed, focusing on electronic evidence of alleged criminal activity such as sexual assault and racketeering. However, prosecutors, who were determined that Combs stay in custody, cited what they called an abundance of evidence, including text messages read aloud in court from women accusing Combs of physical and sexual abuse that occurred over decades and tremendous efforts to conceal it. A deep fear of the defendant is shared by all witnesses.
He's being held in Brooklyn at this jail, this prison. What else do we know about that?
So it's this detention center in Brooklyn, and he is in this very special portion of the facility that offers an extra layer of security for high-profile individuals who could be targeted among the general population. And that could mean that he's limited to facilities like the library and the phone, so could make it hard, his lawyers are saying, for him to be able to prepare for trial. And because of all of this, Combs' attorney is actually asking for him to be moved to a New Jersey jail. But a judge said that that's ultimately going to be up to the Bureau of Prisons to decide. I mean, he can continue to appeal this and can appeal the bond, right? But you saw that with Ghislaine Maxwell. She continued to appeal and was not successful. Now 2 federal judges saying, you got
These accusations' beginnings can be traced to November of last year, when Diddy was sued civilly by Cassandra Ventura, better known as singer Cassie.
Because I want to go there next, because he went after the victims that came forward, including Cassie. It was a disgusting sort of a defense. He says he thinks this is all eminently manageable. He doesn't have a criminal record. He was acquitted. He's ready to do it again. Trying to just play it like this is all bad. Oh, who are these victims? He's not a perfect person. These toxic relationships were mutual. So now he's putting all the blame on them. Now he's trying to be better for the rest of his days. Oh, okay, well, he's learned his lesson, guys. He's trying to be better, so give him a slap on the wrist. If there's one thing we've seen, we should stand by people who are trying to get the help they need. Look, I'm all for past accountability, but when you go out and try to shame Cassie, saying she's a liar and a clout chaser the way you did, and then you only came forward because the evidence you thought you paid off wasn't paid off, dude, you're dead. You're dead to me. You're donezo.
She charged him with abusing her physically and psychologically, making her carry illicit weapons, and pressuring her into having sex with prostitutes, despite the day after the complaint was resolved out of court. It started a wave of similar charges and the copious and unsettling evidence that was gathered.
Footage find its way. I wonder how that happened. We didn't have it. Yeah, because you deleted it. This was just awful. This was just disgusting to watch. 2 people were in a hotel room, an issue that Mr. Combs had more than one girlfriend. Okay, victim 1 looked through his phone, saw that, and hit him in the head with a cell phone, and took his clothing. So he comes out in a towel. This is how they're trying to justify that video. That infamous video, that deplorable, disgusting video that shows the worst. Here it is again. There it is. Oh, well, that justifies it. That justifies what he did to her. I mean, it is truly shameful that they're...
During what Diddy called freak-offs, investigators found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricant that were allegedly used in elaborate, planned sex performances, often with Diddy filming the acts. According to court documents, these events involved commercial sex workers being transported across state lines and internationally, with victims reportedly given controlled substances to ensure obedience, the raids also found 3 AR-15 rifles with E-face serial numbers, ammo, and a large-capacity drum magazine. The firearms with deleted serial numbers, in particular, suggest attempts to hide criminal activity. Other goods found during the raids included prescription medicines and methamphetamine. To establish the case against Diddy, federal officials' painstaking collection and analysis of this evidence was essential.
Lewis, I want to get you into, like, there was a part here where they were trying to defend these guns that had, the serial numbers off, and he's trying to claim, well, my security keeps the guns in them. It's not Mr. Combs. Would you keep an unregistered serial number scratched out weapon like that in your home bedroom closet, Lewis? Does that seem like a fair argument?
Oh, it was a lame defense too, because why would a legitimate security company scratch out the serial number? Does that make any sense? I don't think they could do that. So look, this guy, he tricked me to a certain extent. I thought he was going to get bail because the way he acts, he's taking selfie pictures with fans minutes before he got arrested yesterday.
Tracy Walter, a former FBI agent and CIA officer, offered insights into the investigation and the difficulties in obtaining a federal search warrant. She defined that these warrants are issued when there is an immediate risk of destroying evidence or endangering lives. In Dye's case, the former was probably the rationale for the tactical execution of these warrants. SWAT teams were a procedural requirement to ensure safety given the presence of armed personnel and firearms. Additionally, Walter emphasized the thorough nature of the investigation, noting that detectives painstakingly recorded and categorized every piece of evidence. As part of this procedure, they looked for digital evidence, such as flash drives and other storage devices that might have included incriminating information.
Yeah, I mean, in a case like this, obviously you're not making any kind of a dynamic entry. This isn't a hostage situation, right, where that's not what's happening here. However, they did know that there would be weapons there, armed security, those kinds of things. That's why you saw those warrants being served by, for the most part, a tactical SWAT team. Simply, that is procedure to keep.
His indictment and subsequent arrest had a wide-ranging impact on Diddy's professional and interpersonal connections. After growing up spoiled with lavish mansions and private planes, Diddy finds himself imprisoned in a place that is frequently referred to as Hell on Earth, the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, which has a terrible reputation for its horrible circumstances.
Mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here.
Michael Cohen, a former Donald Trump fixer who endured a terrifying year in federal jail, talked about the dramatic difference between Diddy's new life and his old one. A modest arrangement with a desk, a plastic chair, a bed with a thin mattress and no pillow, and a small locker is all that is offered to prisoners in luxury.
Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible.
Diddy's team has been working tirelessly to get him released on bond. They have offered his $48 million Miami Beach home, and utilizing private aircraft as collateral for bail. According to the defense, there is a continuous tragedy and horrendous cruel conditions at the MDC.
Eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released. They told the judge the jail he was being sent to is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy.
Diddy's violent attitude and prospective witness evidence were mentioned by the judge, notwithstanding these attempts. Using threats as justifications for not granting bail, Diddy will remain detained until this trial, according to the verdict.
Deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof.
Diddy's former Prod of Dis singer Aubrey O'Day publicly celebrated his downfall, viewing it as a victory for women. With Diddy out of the way, we're left with those close to him. Diddy's family members appear somber as they arrive at the federal court in Manhattan for another attempt to secure bail. This year, several revelations have surfaced, and it has been claimed that a significant number of Hollywood celebrities visited his events. Even well-known politicians are aware that Jay-Z and Sean have a sincere friendship. One would think that given their decades-long friendship, Jay would have something to say about the horrific accusations made against his friend. But Diddy's circle members as a whole refused to comment. The fact that the defense did not respond was perhaps the first clue that the accusations were accurate.
Jay-Z ain't answering the phone?
He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
However, tensions are high, and every star that interacted with Diddy is holding his breath while most people are concentrating on Jay-Z.
Will Diddy start snitching?
He better. But the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White, Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby while he was married to Beyonce. See, I know you know what happened to Corey. Diddy, you and Jay-Z down in Vegas at Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help. Was it an aneurysm, Diddy? Or are you the one who paid the same coroner that you... Oh, Diddy, you...
He is only trying desperately to put Combs and the scandal behind him, but a single miscalculation away from the flames.
News. You know that Diddy got arrested, but you don't know that Jay-Z is not feeling any good now. Well, if you don't know this too, just days before Diddy got arrested, Jay-Z was on the phone with him, and sources say he's been acting shady ever since. Rumors are swirling about what they talked about on that call, and it's got people thinking there's way more to this story. The tension's real, and some insiders are saying Jay-Z's trying to distance himself from Diddy ASAP, like he knows something big is about to go down. Why not? And we know how close they were for each other ever since. Could Jay-Z be caught up in something more? We never know, but no one can unsee their clips and...
People, however, are hopeful that Diddy himself comes clean and exposes all those who worked with him after realizing there is no. That's it for now. Check back down for future updates, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the way out of jail life.